It gets worse and worse and worse the more you know.
From Black Mountain Media and Tenderfoot TV, this is Culpable.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
Instant news gratification. Follow us now at KFI AM 640 on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
To our shooting in Nashville here in just a couple of minutes. We'll talk also in a few minutes about this other just horrific story out of Ciudad Juarez, just across the border from El Paso. 39 people died after a fire was started at an immigration detention center. Apparently, the men that were being held there were afraid they were going to be deported, so they set mattresses on fire. The ensuing fire eventually killed 39 of them. 29 were injured. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has decided to delay his judicial overhaul, said he wanted to avoid civil war by making more time to get a compromise with political opponents. The announcement appeared to calm some of the tensions that we had seen. Yesterday referred to the nationwide strike that was going on. Speaking of nationwide strikes, protests and strikes against pension reforms have absolutely blocked France from getting anything done today. They are government demonstrators, or anti-government demonstrators, have apparently said, and the fear is they want to destroy, to injure, and to kill. So they said 13,000 police officers have been deployed, almost half of those specifically in Paris.
We will get more news for you coming up after Jennifer's news at the top of the hour. An update on the LA Unified deal that was reached. Also, Gwyneth Paltrow on trial for a hit-and-run ski accident that may cause her to be paying up. A doctor was pretty tearful when he was on the stand talking about how Gwyneth ran into him there in Park City, Utah, a handful of years ago. But, okay, here are the victims that we know about from Nashville, Tennessee yesterday at the Covenant School. There was the head of the school, a custodian, and a substitute teacher that were killed, as well as 3 children, all aged 9.
The head of the school was a woman named Catherine Kuntz, 60 years old, head of the Covenant School, considered I think they were actually referred to her as the head mistress.
Parents describe her as a saint. She did so much for those kids. She knew every single student by name. She did everything to help them when families couldn't afford things. It didn't matter. She found ways for them to stay. She wrote on a welcoming page on the school's website that the school is about more than simply educating our students, that the school's mission was helping children become who God intends them to be. She was author of the book, Parenting the Way God Parents, Refusing to Recycle Your Parents' Mistakes. She had over 18 years experience, a master's degree.
ABC News said that loved ones described Catherine as a remarkable woman with a bright spirit. Sissy Goff of Daystar Counseling apparently had worked with Catherine and said she was strong and steady and hilarious, and she had an amazing sense of humor. I can't imagine a better head of a school than Catherine Kuntz.
Mike Hill was a custodian at the school. His daughter Brittany said he died doing a job he absolutely loved. She shared a post on Facebook. Today, my dad lost his life at the Covenant School. She went on to say, I've watched school shootings happen over the years. I never thought I would lose a loved one over a person trying to solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution. A pastor in the area had worked with Mike Hill, hired him over 13 years ago. Says he's going to miss these encouraging texts out of the blue from Mike Hill, and would not be surprised if it turned out that he sacrificed his life to save others, because he's the kind of guy that would do that.
We had a janitor the entire time I was at the elementary school. I went to one school the whole time. My mother was a teacher there for a long time, and this guy was there forever. And he was this kind of a personality that it sounds like Mike Hill was describing. described as friends to everybody. He was the guy that you would call on if the ball was kicked onto the roof or whatever like that. And he was one of those super upstanding character guys that always challenged you, even as a kid, like a third grader, as a fourth grader, challenged you to be a better person. And I don't think a lot of people imagine janitors in their schools, in their kids' school, having that kind of impact on people. A lot of times it's a character like that that's going to be the most remembered in a situation like this.
One of the children, Haley Scruggs, was the daughter of the senior pastor at the church. Described his daughter as such a gift. Spoke of the faith that they would one day be reunited. We are heartbroken. Through tears, we trust that she is in the arms of Jesus, who will raise her to life once again. And it's times like this when you are so thankful that people have their faith.
I can't imagine a stronger test of that faith. A harder test of that faith. Evelyn Deekhouse, also 9 years old, and William Kinney, another 9-year-old. Those are the 6 victims.
There was a church service held hours after the shooting, and Evelyn's 9-year-old Evelyn, her sister is 2 years older, and cried during the entire service, as you can imagine, saying, "I don't want to be an only child."
I don't know where you go from this. I mean, I don't know what
Police reported ahead.
the church does. The senior pastor is going to stay up there. You know, the assumption is that's sort of the teacher that comes on Sundays and leads the services. He's going to have to stand up there and, in honor of his daughter, I would assume, he's got to get up there and teach every Sunday, if not more. I mean, I don't know what their schedule is, but we have said that if there is any news conference, any updates or anything out of Nashville, we'll definitely bring those to you. And the news doesn't get a whole lot better because we're going to talk about this ridiculously humongous fire and the death toll thereof from Ciudad Juarez, just across the border from El Paso.
But we will have good news
There
today.
will be good news
Yeah.
today. There will be some lighter stuff as we get through the show. So don't go anywhere.
Gary and Shannon will continue, and Jennifer Jones-Lee is in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Former President Trump says his New York hush money payment case is just a new way of cheating on elections. He says he doesn't know if the investigation helps or hurts his chances of another run at the White House in 2024. Police are trying to find a guy seen tossing a caged puppy into the Tahunga Wash. A neighbor saw it happen, climbed into the wash, saved the dog who was shivering. The dog was unharmed and now has a new permanent home. And Elon Musk says only verified accounts will appear in Twitter's recommendation feed. He claims the move is the only realistic way to address advanced AI bot swarms from taking over. SoCal weather from KFI. It'll be gray this afternoon as more clouds come in with a chance of rain after midnight and highs just in the low to mid 50s. This report is brought to you by Caltrans and CleanCA.com. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We've got a crash on 134.
Been there for a decent amount of time now, and the carpool as well as left lane are taken by that pricing, especially heavy drive. Heading westbound along the 134 right now as you're coming away from well before the 2. Really packed and tight for you as you continue beyond the 5. Eastbound side of the 134 also busy for you approaching the 5, and you'll see those delays kind of on and off again as you make way back to Brand Boulevard. Now coming off the 5 southbound out of the Burbank area, leaving Burbank Boulevard, so going for your drive 5 southbound, seeing those delays pretty much all the way straight on through to the 605, and the northbound side busy for you out of Norwalk, leaving Rosecrans Avenue as you make way back toward Outward Village beyond the 2. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
They said inflation had peaked. They said prices were coming down. Well, they were dead wrong. The new inflation numbers just came in, and inflation is back up. Call Goldco today to protect your retirement savings now from rising inflation. Right now, we're offering up to $10,000 in free silver when you open a qualified gold IRA account while supplies last. Call 855-817-GOLD. That's 855-817-GOLD.
Ooh, nice iPhone 14 Pro. I love it. Just switched to T-Mobile and got an iPhone 14 Pro on them. You're with T-Mobile, right? Well... Oh, and I got Apple TV Plus included. You love Ted Lasso. Did you get all of that? Well...
Switch to T-Mobile with eligible trade-in on our Max plan and get iPhone 14 Pro and Apple TV Plus on us.
is tough for everyone, and taking a step back and understanding the pain that your customers are currently going through because of a tough environment is really important. We have 19,000 agents across the country, and they understand what's going on in those very unique communities. iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, connected, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale is so efficient and important for us.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to all. Every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. Not just a media company. iHeartMedia is your access company. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
Yo, you know that I'm the hot? You guys run up Army time. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, bienvenido.
Joining the Army has many benefits. Sharing your culture with friends from all over is just one of them. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Add onions, cilantro, and pineapple.
Try it. It is so good. Que rico.
Soldiers serve with people from everywhere. Get to know your Army at GoArmy.com.
California could ban the sale of food items containing red dye number 3, titanium dioxide, oh tasty, potassium bromate, give me more, brominated vegetable oil, that's what I cook my food in, and propyl paraben. Mo Kelly,
They're gonna have to ban everything.
just ban food.
Live 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Gary and Shannon, KFI AM 640 live everywhere. On the iHeartRadio app, mentioned more rain headed our way sometime after probably 10 o'clock tonight, midnight, something like that, is when we'll start to see some light rain. Tomorrow's commute, tomorrow morning at least, should be pretty wet. That'll stay with us off and on probably until Thursday morning. Some earthquakes up in the Bay Area earlier today. 3.5 was the largest one. It hit just after 6 o'clock in the Bay Area city of Pacifica.
Former President Trump says he feels like Elvis after a song he released in collaboration with prisoners convicted in the Capitol insurrection top music charts. In an interview with Sean Hannity, Trump took a victory lap for the commercially successful song, the proceeds of which benefit those incarcerated in connection with the January 6th riot. The single Justice for All is a rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner sung by prisoners as Trump recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
They played that in Waco at the beginning of his rally on Saturday.
It hit #1 on Billboard's digital song sales chart. Donald Trump told Hannity it's Donald Trump and the J6 prisoners.
Wow. Who is downloading that?
I don't know. The next season of HBO's hit show The White Lotus will be set in Thailand. The first 2 seasons were shot at the 4 Seasons in Hawaii and Italy. You ever watch that show?
I saw some chunks of the second season.
It's a fun show. It gets oddly dark at times.
Aubrey Plaza? Is that right? She was in the
Yes.
second season?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the guy with his own group, and I was like, that would be my speed.
The sex part? It's not really his uncle.
Well,
So,
there was enough of a question at the time that I didn't think.
yeah, no, they're not related. He just said that.
Before we get to our bad story.
Okay.
One of our bad stories. There is a new cancer treatment that's being put to the test. This is, they're saying, incredibly successful trial on cancer patients. There is a new blood test that would promise to predict tumors more than a year before the tumor actually begins to form. It's being applied in hospitals around the UK right now. They said it's the first pan-cancer blood test, like testing for all cancers. According to the CEO of this lab that's doing it, he is also the chair of a biotech firm where this test was developed a couple of years ago. said basically we can detect cancer earlier than other known technologies long before the tumor has physically formed.
Your wife's in a nursing program. One of my girlfriends is in a nursing program as well. I think they're about the same, in the same places. And did your wife have to do scans on herself? Like, have they done that?
I don't think so.
What my girlfriend, they just did those scans on their own bodies or whatever to, test out the equipment, and they found a cyst.
Oh.
And she would never have known.
Wow.
If she wasn't in the nursing program.
Well, that's great.
Incredible, right?
That's crazy. There was a very dark story out of Ciudad Juarez, which is a city in Mexico, just across the border with from El Paso, Texas. Authorities said there was a fire at the National Migration Institute.
39 people killed in this fire. They say it broke out after they picked up a group of migrants from the streets of the city and detained them. Apparently, they started setting mattresses on fire.
Yeah, they apparently thought they were going to be, were afraid they were going to be deported. Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador provided some details, said what we know so far is that migrants from Central America, some from Venezuela, were in that shelter. We still don't know exactly the names and the nationalities of those who unfortunately lost their lives. He said that this had to do with a protest that they started after they found out that they were going to be deported. And as a protest, they put mattresses from the shelter at the door of the shelter and apparently ignited them. He said they set fire to them and did not imagine that this was going to cause this terrible accident. It's very sad that this is happening. He mentioned, like I said, that some of them were from Venezuela. There were at least, according to Guatemala's Institute of Migration, they confirmed at least 28 Guatemalan nationals were among those who were killed. But just an absolute horrific unintended consequence, obviously, of this protest fire.
There was a young woman, 31 years old, says, I was here since 1 in the afternoon waiting for the father of my children. And when 10 p.m. rolled around, smoke started coming out from everywhere. Her husband, 27-year-old Edward, was inside the detention center, survived by spraying water on himself. She says she saw many dead bodies.
In February, the Biden administration released a new rule that would actually prohibit migrants who travel through other countries on their way to the shared frontier there, our border, from applying for asylum in the United States. Made a departure from the decades-long precedent that we'd seen before when it comes to proposed regulations reminiscent of the policy that was put in place when former President Trump was President Trump. This doesn't necessarily change much in terms of, it's not going to change what they do, I don't think, but it may change sort of the setup in terms of the building itself and how it is that they detain people before they do come across the border. So,
hey, we've got good news on the horizon. How about that?
Okay.
We've got an hour, really, of good news coming up because LA Unified has worked out a deal. That's good. Gwyneth Paltrow looks uncomfortable at trial. That's good. A dog catches a home run ball. Tear. Single tear. And we went out yesterday afternoon.
Out?
Well, we left the building.
We did.
We did not go directly home.
No, and we were around pretty people.
We were around some pretty people, yeah.
Feels a little out of place. But it gave us an insight. We were at the iHeartRadio Music Awards last night over at the Dolby Theater. They eventually showed them on television. At least here they were tape delayed. They were live on the East Coast. A couple of interesting things about what goes on in an awards show like that.
Yeah, seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff was wild. Yeah. It's like, I've mentioned it to you before when I've covered Thursday night football games, how they put up that set that they use at half, and then they break it down, and it's like 100 people, it seems like, descend on this set that's on the field and just dismantle it, and it's like that.
Very, very cool.
It's